Right, there we go. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Louisa Smith. I'm a textile trend consultant, and I'm here today to share the textile innovations from Unitex, the circular and warp knitter, who's located over in the Bodywear Forum, and also some consumer trend information, market information, what's happening in the sports and outdoors sector. So first off, with Unitex, I just want to, well, wait a minute while she speaks.
Dear visitors, our textile in Hall A1 offers a variety of great presentations from the high-cap exhibitors. The first one starts at 11 a.m.
Okay, in keeping with what's happening in the industry at the moment, as you'll all be aware, with the greater transparency, traceability, Unitex is really geared up towards this. This is a company that's been built on sustainability from the foundations up. So that's quite unique for certain mills. It's a lot easier for them to implement sustainable processes and practices than established mills to transfer over. So it's a very clean company, all the certifications as well, just to guarantee that transparency as well, and good practice. As well as creating some of the great textile innovations they do in terms of the construction of the circular and warp knits, they are also partners with a lot of the key brand ingredients, many of whom you'll find at this show. So again, confirming that responsibility, transparency, but also quality and performance. So really important connections happening here. The aim of the game at the end of the day is towards zero waste. And I know the previous talk was focused on naturals. I mean, I'm a consultant. I work with many different companies, and I'm sort of like in the middle. And like Charles said, cotton isn't as sort of like squeaky clean as it likes to think it is. Everybody's got a downside. Everybody's got an upside. So, we sort of like scale around. But we are gearing towards zero waste. And this is where Unitex is really working on textile to textile. And they have launched at Premier Vision in September their T2T collection, and it's actually very good, really beautiful quality, and it's about closing the loop on textile waste. The three companies they're working with the brand ingredients are GRN, Unify, and Far Eastern. So they've got, each one has a different process in achieving this textile to textile yarn. But when we talk about responsibility and this transparency, one of the highlights I want to just bring to the show is that it's not just about us, it's not just about the designers, the brand developers. Everybody has to take responsibility. That's right through to the consumer as well. So we really need to, through brand communication, educate the consumer into how they can return their garments. They can put them back into the circular economy, get the best use out of their garments, the best life. And I'm not just referring to outdoor, but also active wear as well. One of the highlights I would like to share with you as well, and I missed the award ceremony yesterday for all the awards. Unitex won the Bodywear Award this season, selected by the jury. And this is a new generation bio-based synthetic that is derived from wood. So it's really interesting. It's very exciting. It's in its early days, but it's fantastic that they've been acknowledged for this new development. And it's a UPM that they're working with. And this bio-based alternative has a much higher level of transparency. So exciting, early days, but remains to be seen where it goes. 4 trends define the season for fall-winter 27-28. Interplay is, as it is, it's a playful direction. We're looking at crossover exploration in the city through to the outdoors. We want to see colour come through. It was really interesting when I came to check my coat in this morning, and there's just a row of black. There's just black, black, black. And I thought, oh, you know, let's have a bit more colour. And I'm so glad that this is here to push this through. So there's an element of escapism. As much as we all like to be part of the crowd and one of the gang, it's like, you know, we want some individuality as well. So that's really important coming through. And a hint of nostalgia and travel as well. So customization, this is something brands really need to take on board, because with Unitex, you have some really great foundation, you know, sort of like in the form of warp knits and circular knits coming through. But we can customize and make things different, stand out. You know, we don't all want to be the same as much as we all want to be connected. So this is the trend that will take you there. And then for material innovation, we've got some really, I've got one of the fabrics on actually. It's a thermal regulating fabric, very lightweight, beautiful touch. And, you know, we want this functionality crossing over, again, that will work for activities, outdoor activities, or even in the gym, but also for urban outdoor and fashion lifestyle. So this crossover, this efficiency is happening in the actual garment than just in the sourcing and production. And some of the inspiration, again, for that customization, we can look at you incorporating prints, digital prints, anamorphic prints that really jump out and create something unique. We see also waffle structure coming through, and Unitex is very good as well for micro brushing and this sensational touch against the skin. So our first trend is running, and this is where we're seeing a big growth in this area. Not just for running for consumers, you can run anywhere. You can run down the street, you could run around the Mesa, you know. You have a pair of trainers and you run. And this is what is a particularly growing sport, but we're seeing it cross over into trail running. This is really gaining interest on the trail running front. So we want to see sort of like lightweight thermal activity happening here. And we highlighted one of the Unitex fabrics for this in particular. So it's a textured knit, but it's incredibly soft. There's no friction when you're moving, and it's got the thermal regulation there as well. For interplay, we have this active living, this crossover, going to the gym, you know, urban gyms as well. You no longer take a change of clothes. The high performance factors in the fabrics mean that you can stay comfortable once you've worked out and when you leave. So this crossover effect, very important. And again, the color coming through, something a bit different, but 24/7 freshness, and that's the aim. And through the performance ingredients that Unitex uses, we can have this permanent performance. So it's not going to wash out of a garment. It's going to be there for the life of the garment. So that's, you know, good level durability. And then our final one for interplay was travel, and this is where so much more travel is involved now. Consumers, especially Z and Gen Z and Alpha generation coming through, you know, travel, weekend breaks, again, that high-level functionality. I came to Munich yesterday. I've just bought a small tote bag. I know it'll, you know, sort of like I'm back tomorrow to my base, and it, you know, I purchase certain things that I know will fit for different occasions. So this is where we're going with this particular sector, and it's a growth sector. So again, having that outdoors functionality, but that can cross over into urban outdoors, that can cross over for travel, is really efficient for the consumer as well. So this was a very lightweight melange and wicking performance. And again, with these fabrics, Unitex works with brands in developing fabrics relevant to their customers too, so we can build it up and do different things with it and characterize it to fit the brand's needs. Our second trend was empower, and this is a really interesting trend. This is for women, and something we've noted in the outdoors market in particular, the more brands are now beginning to design women-centric collections, not just in apparel, but also footwear. For many, many moons, we've had the male versions tweaked and, for the women's market. And it's really about, women coming forward, brands delivering to them and to their needs, and also women designers and developers, designing for women. This is really important. Women in sports is growing. You only had to watch the women's rugby this year, the World Cup of football last year for women. It's really, really important. I've got another announcement.
Dear visitors, check out the Sustainability Lounge and its offers for workshops, as well as walk and talk tours with Anna Rodebert from Green Voice.
So on the women's market, sports in particular, football, it was taking a long time for women's football to be given the global level of acceptance it got, because it's been such a man's sport. So we're seeing much more inclusivity happening here, and we want to develop fabrics that will support and enhance the performance of the wearer. So again, it's really about sort of like these group sports. It's about training on your own. We're looking at the base layers and the body wear in particular. A lot of athletes and sports women have to wear 2 sports bras for the support they need when they're, at their highest level. So, we're really looking at engineering better quality, comfortable, no chaffing kit for this sector. And then for the material innovation, it's tough, moisture management. One of the things as well that a lot of brands are starting to kind of pick up on, sweat isn't pretty. So, the look is, and this visual here, it's like, to feel like you've worked out, to feel like you've achieved that goal, you are going to sweat. So this is where we're seeing a lot of the anti-odor, moisture management, wicking fabrics come through. So it's a really powerful trend for the, a women-centric direction. As much as it's powerful, and we've got the Power Fit as inspiration, it's also soothing. We don't have to be uncomfortable. So it's really an interesting direction here. And Unitex work with a lot of the leading spandex suppliers who are also developing their own bio-based spandex. And they'll team them with bio-based synthetics. And we've got some really great products going on there, which have a really sensational touch as well. So this particular product, this was part of the Zero Feel collection, very lightweight, really beautiful against the skin, but it's got power in there from the spandex elastane. For high impact sports and for the likes of football, rugby, where there's a high level of movement, we've got flexibility happening here. And this has got quite a high content in spandex, so a good support there as well as a very soft touch. Good stretch and recovery, so for that movement, flexibility, and a very lightweight body to it. And then the power sports, aerobics isn't as sort of like, it was sort of like a bit like girls would go to the gym, and that was the kind of look you'd get. Now it's very unisex in the sports that are being done. Weight training, powering those weights. Doing the CrossFit, doing the high rocks. It's really it's gritty, it's tough, but, women can do it and we want to do it, but we need the kit to, enhance our performance. And that's where Unitex comes in. So this was a really beautiful sculpting fabric that's got high levels of performance, that engineered in the fabric that will enhance the, levels of comfort during quite intense workouts. And then proficiency, this is our really geared towards those consumers that care about eco-sustainability, because you know what, at the end of the day, life's tough for a lot of people. We all know, especially in today's times, changing attitudes and moves and, the financial markets, everything, cost of living, kids. sustainability doesn't necessarily come high on the list of, sort of like essentials for consumers. So not everybody thinks the same, but this particular group of consumers really do abide to a greener life, a much more conscientious lifestyle in terms of consumption, not just in apparel, but also in what they consume. So here we have a lot of reusable, recyclable coming through, as well as the circularity. These are very conscientious consumers looking for that, if they're going outdoors, leave no trace. Because I can go hiking and it's amazing where you find rubbish that's just been tossed by other hikers. So never think that people think the same way you do. So that's why we have to, as an industry, deliver the products that are more sustainable and cleaner, and the brands deliver the goods for the consumers, and then those that are really into it can, understand it and take it on board more. So this is really a look towards nature, where we also see touch coming through. We've got some really beautiful, like cotton touch synthetics. Now that's a bit of an oxymoron. We've got some really beautiful wool touch synthetics as well. That lightweight, the consumer does love natural touch, but they also want the performance. And as much as natural fibers have certain inherent performance factors, they can't deliver to the level that synthetics can. So that's why synthetics still exist in the market. For consumers as well, this group in particular is getting outdoors. They are downing the phone and picking up books. Seeing someone in a wash of... we all rely on smartphones. We have to. I mean, it's just the way of life. But it's interesting to see reading groups happening and networking groups as well, where you meet up, this community spirit. So the outdoors, very important here. Digitally detoxing and just breathing, it's a really calm trend. So again, with the textile to textile featuring here and the recycled qualities also featuring here at Unitex. Some beautiful hand feels. It's very soft, but deceptive with the amount of performance that can be delivered. Some of the inspirations, quite organic, pitted features. Also water repellency, some very interesting water repellent yarns, especially for knits. Instead of putting a finish on, we can actually have it coming from the construction, so the water just drops off and it's really appealing. And this is one particular product that's key. This is a monofabric. It's 100% polyester. And for a start, it's easier for returning to the circular economy at the end of life. But what's interesting is this looks very like a woven, but it's actually a knit. And you've got quite a high level of flexibility there through the engineering of the fabric. And it's water repellent. So it's a really good product for the outdoors. Lifestyle, more natural. We're looking at sort of like the yoga, crossover, homeware side. Excuse me. This particular fabric, as much as I mentioned cotton and wool-like, this is very cashmere-like to touch. And we're noticing more fluid silhouettes coming through in sort of like, I call it the studio active wear for like Pilates, yoga. It's becoming much more ethereal, much more sort of like organic in its look, but again, synthetic, quick dry, lightweight, high performance. And then urban travel. Travel's changing. More and more cities are, sort of like blocking the car and becoming pedestrianised. So we're seeing a lot more e-biking, scooting, and even taking the metro as well. So we want that functionality, that cooling effect as well, thermal regulation, everything like that happening for us. At the same time, we want products that will cross over when we're going to the countryside at the weekend or the coast. It's like this added efficiency that's coming through the actual garment that all stems down to the ingredients you use. So that's really important. And then our final one is reactive. And this is, we can't avoid digitalization. So we've really seeing big sort of like bursts of energy coming through the engineered fabrics. It's very much, in previous boards, we had sort of like the traditional compass. Now we're using our phone to get somewhere and mapping it. We map our performance as well, how many steps we've done a day, just even the minimum of that. But this is very much sort of like geared towards how we can enhance the fitness trend. Fitness at the end of the day is health, and health is well-being, and it's not just physical, it's mental well-being as well, and that's incredibly important in today's turbulent world. So again, this working out at the gyms, they are really gritty, the gyms, and if you're a follower on Instagram and TikTok or on the streams, the amount of times influencers are at the gym, and also this sort of like, it's not a case of being thin, it's about toning and it's about strength. And as it says in the image, you are stronger than you think. So moisture management, anti-odor, really important here. Mountain biking, and again coming through as an outdoor sport, as well as road cycling too. That's incredibly important. And here we see the moisture management, UV protection coming through. So it's a very sort of like moving trend, this. It's really, activating the consumer in their sport. So we've got High Rocks Paris in the top image. Again, a unisex competitive sport, and where you really need your fabrics to work for you. Some of the inspiration, the prints coming through, sort of like blurred, a bit sort of static in a way in appearance. Laser cut as well. We can body map within a garment through different performance fabrics, but also just the simplicity of ventilation through laser cutting, and texture coming through. Far infrared as well for well-being and enhancing the energy around the body. So it's a really, sort of like high impact moving trend. The first fabric we highlighted, this is really interesting one as well. This is a unilateral moisture conduction. So there's a wicking yarn and a water repellent yarn. So it really works well in a double knit structure. So this is where you see the innovation happening at Unitex. They really sort of like play around with the brand ingredients I showed you earlier to create these products. And then again, the urban outdoor. Hoodies, massive, they're sort of like so sought after, but becoming lighter, but looking very heavy, looking very protective. And this was a carbon smart bio-based polyester that Unitex have used with a bio-based spandex as well. So it's got a rugged appearance, but it's actually very lightweight to wear. And then winter outdoors, we don't forget sort of like the snow, the ski and the snowboarding market. And we're looking at base layers here. So this melange knit has got thermal regulating and the added comfort of moisture management as well underneath your ski gear. So again, this can be adapted. We can have a higher level of spandex for more core compression, body compression. So it's really just an idea of what is available via Unitex. So that was the trends, the overview of the trends. The trend book is available at Unitex. They're over in the bodywear section. And did I put the yes, hall A24. And they've also got 3 tables there as well in the trend area that have got all the developments on. Go and take a look, because as much as I can get excited about talking about textiles, there's nothing like the tactility. So do go and have a touch. And also, if you can't get a the full trend book, go to their website, unitex.com, and in the trend section, you can download the trend book there for fall/winter 27-28, and also for spring/summer 2027 too. Thanks very much for your time, and have a great show.
Now, Performance Days is genuinely honoured to have Louisa, because Louisa is one of those trend predictors who actually works for a bigger show. And the elephant in the room is about ISPO. We've already talked about ISPO. So Louisa, live commentary. You're staying with ISPO, so you will be in here in a month's time, and hopefully Amsterdam in a year's time.
Wow.
We hope. We want text trends at ISPO is really good. We like to think we're better, but it is really, really good. And we need competition. We need two perspectives to see something.
I think, well, first off, I work as a consultant, so ISPO is one of a variety of clients, and I have been involved with text trends since it started 12 years ago.
You are text trends.
Oh. Well, I don't organise the forum, I do the info, but it's very kind, Charles. Yes, I'm going to be at ISPO next month, and it's going to be a great show. I don't think there's a direct competition, because ISPO has got a lot of the brands. So we do have textiles within ISPOs, but we also have the brands there. I'm actually quite excited about Amsterdam, because ISPO has, been here 55 years.
55 years?
55
indeed.
years. I haven't. I think sometimes, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And there did have to be a change. So it's quite exciting what's happening in the sports and outdoor sector with this new venture with Raccoon Media, who are a British company. The Brits are everywhere. And
Mike Seaman's actually going to be here this afternoon, the CEO of Raccoon. He's coming to see what we are.
Oh,
So, yeah.
right. Okay. So, I mean, I'm always at Performance Days, have been from the start when it was a very small show and wouldn't miss it, for the world. But I think there's certainly room for a good show for sports and outdoors for the products, because it's a growth area. We really are encouraging consumers to get out there, to move, to enjoy the outdoors, and it's a really important part of, lifestyle. So I'm waiting in anticipation for next year, see what happens. But yeah, I think it's exciting.
You're on the money with LOHAS, that life of health and sustainability, which
Yep.
is just growing as an underdog. We want competition, because competition makes us better. So, yes, we would rather compete against ISPO and text trends than Premier Vision or Interfiliere or Munich Fabric Start.
But yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think
That's our point.
But the thing is, here it's so. I mean, what's great about Performance Days is that it's a unique show for what we need for the sports and outdoors industry. I go to PV, but I'm sourcing all different things. Whereas here, it's to the point. So
We're fortunate.
Can't say-
We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
But I'm filling in the hope that someone's going to ask a question, because we haven't had a virtual question. And I don't want Louisa, you don't get wise knowledge on stand and just not ask a question. So I'm going to ask Louisa when she comes off stage, if any of you want to have a quiet word because you have ideas, you want to challenge something, do come and ask Louisa. She will happily answer your question. But can I ask you all to show your appreciation for such a magnificent trend talk?
thank you very much.